No, I'm not on vacation. Today, we're going to the Mosquito Coast. The Mosquito Coast was written by Paul Schrader based on the novel of the same name by Paul Theroux, and it stars Harrison Ford, Helen Mirren, River Phoenix, and Conrad Roberts. The Mosquito Coast follows inventor Allie Fox, played by Harrison Ford, in an against-the-grain style role at this point of his career. Harrison Ford was just coming off of an Academy Award nomination, playing John Book in what I think is a super underrated crime thriller drama, Witness, directed by Peter Weir. And here on the Mosquito Coast, he was re-teaming with Peter Weir the year after. Witness was 85, this was 86. And they famously missed the Oscars because they were shooting. The film tells the story of a family who leaves America behind to find a simpler and happier life in the jungles of Central America. Their utopia soon begins to split at the seams, and their father begins to become more hostile, aggressive, and erratic, causing fractures and putting the family in jeopardy. One fun little tidbit was Jack Nicholson was originally going to be Allie Fox, but he dropped out, and one of the many reasons why he dropped out was because they were shooting on location in the middle of some jungle, and he wouldn't be able to watch the LA Laker games. Because of Jack Nicholson dropping out, production on the film was halted, and Harrison Ford wanted to make Witness with Peter Weir, and as they went to do that, they discussed the Mosquito Coast, and obviously Harrison Ford became Allie Fox in the leading role. The movie has its flaws and weaknesses, but this is one of Harrison Ford's best performances. I mentioned earlier it was an against-the-grain type movie for him. At this point, if you look at his filmography, he's pretty much always been playing the hero-type character. We mentioned John Book earlier. Obviously, iconically, Harrison Ford plays Han Solo in Indiana Jones. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air to see him kind of play this person who kind of sort of becomes deranged throughout. There's a subplot with a missionary, Reverend Spellgood, and Harrison Ford and him kind of have this rivalry. Harrison Ford doesn't agree with him going about the Central America jungles preaching. He believes what Reverend Spellgood is doing is brainwashing and it's stupid, and he's a zealot. If you analyze the movie a little bit, there's a big portion of the movie where Harrison Ford's character Allie is desperately trying to get this block of ice to this tribe in the middle of the jungles that, based off of the people that he's talked to that live in the town that he lives in, they've never seen anyone out of their tribe, and he wants to take this block of ice to them because he wants to see their reaction when they think it's a diamond and when they're just astonished by what he's done. So to me, I kind of took that as he obviously has this problem with Reverend Spellgood and religion and all this, and he kind of visions himself as almost godlike, and I think it was kind of like he wanted that. He wanted some credit to the fact that he built this great, beautiful town, and he gave ice to this. And they talk about how ice is civilization. So I just thought that was an interesting kind of tidbit that if you analyze the movie a little bit, maybe that's one of the reasons why Harrison Ford's character Allie Fox has such a problem. I mentioned earlier that they moved to the Central American jungles to get away from America. Harrison Ford's character feels like America has lost its way and that it's going to break down and crumble any minute now, and it's just a matter of time. And this movie was released in 86. I'm not sure when the book was written, but I know that they got, before the book was even finished, studios were trying to buy the rights. So I assume it's not too far off the 1986 original release. But still today, there's a lot of things that Harrison Ford says that's relevant. His character isn't too far off in his proclamations of what society has become. But obviously he crosses the line and he becomes so self-centered and egotistical, and he drags his family to the middle of the jungle in Central America, and you really see the descent in the quest for power, the lust for power, and the lust to be loved by Harrison Ford's character, and it's masterfully done. It's one of Harrison Ford's best performances. Helen Mirren's also in the movie, like I mentioned. She plays Harrison Ford's wife. She's a really good fit for this movie. I think she and Harrison Ford have really good chemistry. She's able to make her character understandable and why she's staying with this guy who's often making sporadic decisions and isn't always 100% there or seems to be the guy that he used to be. She does a really good job of playing into why that she makes the decision and why she's sticking with him through all this as they survive twisters and hurricanes and they're floating down the middle of a river and no one is in sight. So you can she does a really good job of giving her character some life, even though obviously Harrison Ford is the one that we're following most of the time. One thing that kind of bugged me though is Harrison Ford always calls her mother, like that's her name, and I get like you call her mother, you know, you just to keep it because that's what obviously the kids would call her, so that's what you throw that in every once in a while, you know, just because you know you can't help it. But like even in moments where I felt like her real name would have shined through that, he still calls her mother. So I'm like, is her name Mother or what the heck is going on? Because no one else addresses her by her first name. It's always Mrs. Fox. So I'm just kind of like, well, did they bother to give her a name or like what the heck is going on here? So I just thought that was a little out of place and weird. I was just kind of like, what? Like like every time that he said mother or whatever, I was just kind of like, what the. River Phoenix, who goes on to play young Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, plays his son here. He doesn't have a huge part, but he's always been a really phenomenal actor, and his part's small, but you really feel for him. He takes care of his younger brother in the movie. He's just a really nice character, and you just can't help but like want to like hang out with him, be his friend, and follow him a little bit more throughout the movie. You can see his appreciation for Harrison Ford, his dad. Just a really solid performance, even though much like Helen Mirren, it isn't the main showcase. There's some great moments of intensity. There's a brief part where some rebels, who Harrison Ford's character mistakes as captives, force their way into their utopia and kind of want to take over, wielding guns and everything. Great moments of suspense in that. Movies with a solid idea often make the mistake of relying too heavily on it, and they don't switch it up. They don't add something new to the plot, and it becomes stale, dry, and boring. And I felt like this movie did a really good job of always adding something to keep it interesting with that basic idea of, you know, a family moves from America to the Central America jungles. Like, I mean, that can only carry it so far. So the fact that it kept adding new elements, I thought was interesting and entertaining. Now, so far, I've praised the movie, I think, fairly well. I've said, you know, great things about the story structure, the acting, just minor nitpicks and things that kind of bug me. But overall, this movie ends in a whimper. And that was the most disappointing thing. I felt like I wasted my time connecting and relating and caring about the characters because there's no big emotional payoff. This is a emotional taxing and tolling event, uplifting your family to live to create a new society in the Central American jungles. And it just they go through so much throughout the movie, and it just ends on River Phoenix's narration as they sail off, and it's just kind of like, you didn't even let me emotionally invest or emotionally like release into that what you said in the narration. It kind of just went like, and the whole ending kind of just felt a little tacked on. Like they were running out of time. They're like, okay, we got to figure out a way to end this. Like it just ends so quickly and abruptly. Like it doesn't go through like this arc and we see things happen. It just kind of, we run into like a brick wall, and then like the ending is what's smeared on the wall slowly slick down and plop onto the floor. Just really disappointing in that aspect. The Mosquito Coast is still a solid film that I think should be watched at least once, and depending on your opinion there, you can choose to rewatch it over and over or never watch it again. It's up to you. But in the end, I think I give, as a grade, The Mosquito Coast a C+. Well acted and well directed, an entertaining and gripping story just leaves the viewer feeling unsatisfied and robbed of what could have been an emotional ending. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching my review of The Mosquito Coast. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film. If you've seen it, if you haven't, are you going to watch the Apple TV series? And what do you think is Harrison Ford's best performance? I wouldn't say this is his best, but it's definitely up there. Ladies and gentlemen, subscribe, like, comment, do what you got to do. Check out my other videos if you're interested. And we will see you next time, hopefully, in my parents' basement, your parents' basement, our parents' basement.